Now, it appears that many of you are enjoying the current destruction of the new Flat Earth documentary Level With Me. So we continue today with part 3. And in today's episode, they are still going after NASA. Geez guys, change the record. Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Flat Earth Friday with me, Simon Dan. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, are the flat earthers in this documentary onto something? They're relentlessly going after NASA, leaving us to wonder what's really driving their skepticism. The truth is that trust in today's news is plummeting to new depths. The media landscape is so fractured, leaving us in a sea of uncertainty, struggling to find factual information. And here's the kicker. The crisis of trust isn't just a fluke, it's fueled by the rampant spread of misinformation, the blurred lines of what's factual and what's opinion. So are these flat earthers swimming in this sea of uncertainty, consuming news tainted with opinion and devoid of truth? This is where Ground News comes into play, which is co-founded by a former NASA engineer, Harleen Kaur. They tackle the challenge of media information by aggregating stories and articles from thousands of outlets, local and national, in one place, so readers can see the full picture of what's being reported around the world. You can follow specific topics to follow breaking news on topics like science, the James Webb Telescope and NASA, etc, etc. Let's take a look at the James Webb Telescope spotting a cosmic question mark in space. Now, for every story you get a quick visual breakdown of the news outlet reporting. You can also view the political bias. The bias ratings are assessed through 3 independent news monitoring organisations. Now, each news monitoring organisation has their own methodology, including editorial reviews, blind bias surveys, independent reviews and third-party research, all of which are essential to accurate reporting. Now, if we scroll down, the most important feature I always note is the factuality score, which has 0% low factuality. With this feature, it's able to make informed decisions and be able to share the best information available. Instead of jumping from source to source to triple check my facts, Ground News has made it easy for me to do my research in one place. Go to ground.news/Simon for 30% off unlimited access and to get easy access to reliable information and avoid media bias. Huge thank you to Ground News for sponsoring today's video. Right, back to today's video, which as we know is the 3rd instalment of the debunking of the Flat Earth documentary Level With Me. And we join the motley crew as they continue to stick it to NASA.
Space station is a serious place. We're doing serious research, scientific research and engineering research.
On solid fuel wires, turn the key and light the fire.
So what? The astronauts are not allowed a little bit of downtime now? Ridiculous.
Running around in gorilla suits, going 17,500 miles an hour. There's supposedly micrometeorites, other satellites up there. They could die at any second, but they're running around playing with water. They're always playing with water, claiming to grow lettuce.
Yeah, they play with water and you mock them for it rather than try and explain what's going on in your worldview. If they weren't up there, how are they doing that with the water?
And I love this video because it looks like animation, like something that somebody made, but it's actually real footage from the space shuttle, just sped up just a little bit.
And this is a little video. It's about 4 minutes long here. So there's the space station. I love that this is not animation. This is film taken by a shuttle of the space station. And so this is real. It's not animation.
Now this looks like animation, and I'm very proud to know that it's actually real film. It's not a video game. People are living there.
I know this looks like animation, but it's actually really real. I love this video because it looks like animation. It doesn't look real, but it is real.
Okay, so you've taken this lady's speech, which she's probably done many, many times, the same one, and you've linked all the bits together where she says it's not an animation. What does this prove? It's an interesting point because it looks so amazing. And it's just the same speech repeated over. Proper clutching at straws here, guys.
People can watch all these trickery by NASA and all these other space agencies, and all that goes out the window because they see a little light in the sky and it's the ISS. Oh yeah, that's the ISS. That's all the proof they need, and everything else goes out the window.
Do you know how many times people have captured the ISS with camera equipment here on Earth? A lot.
the view will still be A-OK out there, and all you need to look for is a bright light in the sky that will be moving, and that'll be the space station.
I've seen the light go from horizon to horizon. There's many problems with that light. First, it's as bright as the sun. It's really bright. How is the ISS reflecting that light as bright as the sun?
It's bright as the sun? Well, surely, Dave, when you saw it, it should have illuminated the entire sky. But seriously, the ISS has solar arrays attached that, when combined, have a total area of around 2,500 square meters. On top of that, the station is wrapped in a highly reflective blanket to keep it cool. It's basically a 17,500 mile per hour giant mirror.
Back to me the whole way across. Is it made of mirrors? Is that mirror following me? Right? How would somebody 10 miles away see the same reflection, because it can't reflect in all directions?
Tell me you don't understand how mirrors work without telling me you don't understand how mirrors work.
It's going 17,500 miles an hour for 12 minutes. I could see it. So what is it? I was in communication with a NASA whistleblower, and he says that they have 5 B-2 bombers that they've modified with some parts of them are transparent material with a thin metal struts that you really can't see. The bottom was overlaid with LEDs to match the color of the sun, and they use them in their base. 2 of them are in Alaska, and I forget where the other ones are, and they take turns doing these flybys.
At 17,500 miles an hour that go around the globe once every 90 minutes? Yeah, sure, Dave. And what whistleblower is this? I think someone's yanking your chain, Dave.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Today I'd like to bring to your attention a potential fraud on an enormous scale happening in your county. There's now clear evidence of NASA using numerous methods to grossly mislead the public about astronauts being on the International Space Station. During interior ISS scenes from NASA's own live feed, the use of wires, harnesses, green screens, and virtual reality have been detected to achieve the appearance of a weightless environment.
Well, with all due respect, not once have we seen solid evidence for this. It's all just theories and conjecture, and it's all been debunked.
This begs the obvious question. If they're really up there, why are they using Hollywood techniques to fake the footage? Are they in space or are they underwater? Now, what's really interesting is that they train for spacewalks in an underwater pool with a complete ISS replica. Not complete, just thought I'd throw that in there. Now, surely they aren't filming these spacewalks in an underwater pool and then editing them to appear if they're in space.
No, they're not.
Because that sure would be something, wouldn't it? I'm calling on the Brevard County Commissioners to open a full investigation into NASA's fraudulent practices and use of taxpayer dollars. It costs NASA $3 billion per year to operate the ISS, and if they don't have a darn good explanation as to why they're faking these videos, I and the public would like a darn good explanation as to where our tax money is going.
Now, I have sympathy here. A little. If you genuinely think that something dodgy is going on and you pay taxes towards that thing, then you are absolutely in your right to ask questions. However, there is nothing dodgy about the ISS, and it is real. Now, I'm afraid that's a fact, whether or not you believe it.
It is our duty to expose and eliminate this fraudulent and astronomically wasteful ISS program. And look, I know what you're all thinking. The NASA is part of the federal government and you're just county commissioners. Even if what I'm saying is true, what can you do? But let me remind you, not only is this happening in your county, as public officials, you have the platform and the ability to make a statement or hold a press conference, alerting the public, state, and federal authorities to investigate further. You have the power to start the conversation. I look forward to the day that $3 billion annual budget is put towards our veterans, our homeless, maybe some of that mental health stuff the young lady just spoke about, and the revitalization of Brevard County.
A very admirable and not entirely stupid idea.
Flat Earthers pay attention. We're paying attention to NASA. We're paying attention to SpaceX. Most people aren't, but yet they'll defend it. They'll defend it. They have no idea the Earth's supposed radius. They have no idea how far the sun is supposed to be according to NASA, 93 million. They don't know. Like, how far is the sun? Like, I don't know, a couple million miles, I don't know. They have no idea, but they're defending it to the death.
That's because they figured out that stuff before we were even industrial. NASA didn't make those numbers up, they just refined them.
You know, once you start paying attention and have an open mind, pay attention.
Let's pay attention then, everyone. Yeah, a probe crashed into an asteroid. What's hard to believe about that? The Earth was eclipsed by the moon. Easy. A Mercury spacewalk, I believe, where they had movable helmets. Orion going around the moon. So what? SpaceX put a car in space. Totally believable. Epic discover, 1 million miles away from Earth. Clearly a sped up section of video. A spacewalk, not unusual. SpaceX landing a rocket, clever sods. A real personal incredulity slideshow, that one, wasn't it?
That's the worst footage ever.
But we do want to make sure that the American people understand that there's no need to panic. The president took this action, as I mentioned earlier, because the objects were indeed flying at lower elevation, and they were in civilian airspace, and we wanted to make sure that we protected that airspace. But again, we want to also make sure that the Americans are not do not panic during this time.
Wait, what? It's on a balloon? Why is there a satellite on a balloon? It's always been that way. Flat Earthers have been talking about this for a long time.
Now, the official line is that this was a weather balloon. But either way, some balloons are used for things like this. They cannot, though, put something in orbit.
One thing that isn't really discussed in the mainstream is that NASA, of course we know, spends more money on helium than anyone else in the world, and actually just upped their most recent contract to hundreds of millions of dollars for helium. And they admittedly launched balloons bigger than 1 to 2 football fields. And it's significantly more efficient for transmission of data, for weather compilation of data. They basically have a fleet of balloons above you that are facilitating majority of the information that we utilize.
The helium used in balloons by NASA is tiny compared to the amount of helium they use as a rocket fuel coolant. That is why they're the world's largest consumers.
So why do you think NASA is the world's largest consumer of helium?
Just told you.
Why would they send up balloons, these satellites, on balloons if they're in magical floating space, in the magical floating vacuum of space?
What, so you can't have satellites and high altitude balloons at the same time?
They're showing us, they're telling you right now, they're telling us in plain sight, hey look, satellites are on balloons, they're not in magical space. Right here at this research center. Okay, this loud truck, yeah.
Oh, that pesky truck.
Gotta know they're gonna make the okay.
Howdy.
Oh, those bloody trucks play havoc when you're trying to record, don't they?
I was just doing some filming. What? I was just anything we can see. We're just doing a documentary on the balloon launches and all the cool stuff.
Now we're independent journalists.
Don't be filming me. Come on. Well, I mean, we're in public. There's no expectation of privacy. Well, we tried to call them. They said they weren't doing any tours.
Okay, that was quite funny, him setting that horn off. Right, let's see what happens with this confrontation next time when we rejoin the documentary for part 4. So for now, all I've got left to say is we're done and dusted for another Flat Earth Friday. Thanks so much for joining me. It truly is appreciated. Look, we're about 12,000 away from 500,000 now. If you could subscribe if you've not done so yet, if you enjoyed it today, then please do. And of course, if you really liked it, hit that thumbs up button too. Just enough time to once again thank Ground News for sponsoring today. Remember, go to ground.news/Simon to stay fully informed on all breaking news and avoid the media bias. And with that link, you can also get 30% off unlimited access. I've been Simon and Dan. Have yourselves a great weekend, and I'll see you all on Tuesday for the very first time I'll be taking on Matt Walsh. See you then.